just an overview of your certification and implementation process, right? So we are the way we see the whole process ISO 27001 is there is this implementation part and there is this certification part. Both are two different activities in our opinion, because the certificate, whoever is certifying, they cannot be involved in the implementation activities per se. And whoever is implementing, they should not be involved in the certification per se, right? So ISO, they are very, very specific about the impartiality and the conflict of interest that arises out of the implementation and the certification thing. I say, like, if I come in and implement the process and also certify the same thing, then I have some hidden agenda, or like I have vested interest to make sure that I certify you. So that's why whenever a customer approaches us for implementation, we will not be certifying them. And same thing, if they want us to just do the certification part, we will not be able to do any implementation per se. Like, we will just do the audit and do the pure certification. Right. So I hope like I'm very clear on that one. That's like one of the very important piece of the requirement for being a certifying body for ISO 27001. And so essentially the implementation part, some people call it readiness or preparation step. So that's where, like, you're thinking about it. Okay, you are deciding that, like, you want to implement it, and then like what you would do is you will get into the readiness and the preparation phase, where you will review all the requirements of ISO 27001 and see where you are at, and then like any missing components, you will go ahead and implement it, right? So basically you're preparing yourself for that. Say, for example, you do not have an information security policy, but you do have a lot of controls and stuff. What you would do is you will go ahead and implement the information security policy and kind of develop all these policies. How do you provide access control? How do you provide termination? And how do you handle all the other requirements? How do you train your staff and all the stuff? Like, you will essentially document these things and prepare yourself for the certification. And then when it comes to certification, there is two parts to it. One is essentially stage one, and stage two. Again, like, I'm oversimplifying the whole thing. There are a lot of additional steps involved in it. I'm just going to cover the high level parts. What is stage one and what is stage two audit in ISO 27001? Right. So stage one is essentially the certifying company come in and look at all your processes at a very high level and determine if you're ready for even to go to stage two. Stage two is where, like, all the heavy lifting happens, meaning like the auditor will go over individual controls and request your point of contact to verify all these things are in place, and maybe ask you to provide some evidence for the samples he or she picked. Those are the things that happens in stage two. But stage one essentially is the readiness part, where you will just check and see if the organization is ready to be ready to do the ISO 27001 audit. Yeah, and then so this essentially, the whole process, it takes a few weeks to a few months, depending on where you are at and where you want to go, and how soon, like, you are able to put your resources to get all those things remediated and stuff. And then the next piece is the surveillance piece. That comes in like 1 year after your initial audit is over. So it is not that you just get certified once and you are certified forever. So for all this certification, just like your driver license, you need to renew your license, maybe depending on your state of resident. So you might have to review it every 5 years, every 10 years, or every few years, right? So here for ISO, it is like every year you need to be re-audited. So essentially, the surveillance audit is a little bit lightweight compared to the initial audit, probably in terms of the effort, time, money. So you want to kind of ballpark around 1/3 of your initial audit, efforts, resources. And then recertification audit happens every 3 years. So we come in, let's say 2021, we come in January, do the initial audit. We come back again in 2022 Jan to do the surveillance, 23 surveillance. 24, we will do the recertification. So that means we will go over the entire scope, the entire statement of applicability, whatnots, right? So go through the whole thing and then do the recertification audit. So it has to happen every year, just like any other certification or audit process, I would think, right? So also the advantage of this ISO process is actually it is cross-mapped with a lot of other standards. Let's say one of your customers or one of your prospects is requesting you to demonstrate that you are NIST 853 compliant or 800 171 compliant or SOC 2 compliant. You could actually cross-map the ISO controls with some of these industry standards and then be able to demonstrate even without really going through that specific standard audit or assessment. You could actually do a cross map and then be able to demonstrate this is what we have done, right? So that kind of helps you in talking to different stakeholders in terms of what they need, and you'll be able to talk to them in their language and their control requirements and stuff.
For more information, click on the link below or visit databrackets.com.